The airlock of the dropship hissed, a sound like a serpent's warning, signaling the beginning of the end for most of those inside. 20 cadets stood in the dim red light of the hold, the elite of the Galactic Union. There were towering reptilian Krogans with scales that could deflect laser fire, multi-limbed Xylians known for their venomous agility, and silicon-based golems who felt no pain. And then there was Lieutenant Alex Randall. Standing at a modest 5'10", encased in soft, pale skin that bruised at a pinch, the human looked ludicrously out of place. He checked the charge on his plasma knife, his movements economical and calm, ignoring the hulking figures looming over him. "Try not to die in the first 5 minutes, soft skin," sneered Gorak, a Krogan cadet whose shoulders were wider than the airlock door. "There is no cleaning crew," Alex replied, his voice steady. "You know the briefing. We drop, we walk, or we stay here forever." Commander Tarson, a high-ranking insectoid observing from the flight deck, clicked his mandibles in disdain. He turned to his aide, his compound eyes reflecting the holograms of the candidates. "Why did the Earth Space Forces even send him? Oxygen B has a 96% fatality rate. The flora here eats Durasteel. That human, he is a waste of a drop pod. He is predicted to last less than an hour." "Protocol, Commander," the aide replied. "Every member species has the right to attempt the selection, even the underdeveloped ones." The floor dropped out. Gravity seized them. 20 pods screamed through the atmosphere of Oxygen B, a world of vibrant, toxic greens and violent purples. It was a botanical hellscape where evolution had taken a turn for the sadistic. 3,000 species of flora existed on the surface, and every single one of them was a predator. Alex's pod slammed into the jungle floor, the impact dampeners barely saving his spine. The hiss of the opening door was immediately met with the smell, a cloying, sweet scent of rotting fruit and ozone. He stepped out, plasma knife in hand, thermal blanket rolled tight against his back. 50 kilometers. That was the mission. Reach the beacon within 4 days. Less than 10 minutes into the trek, a scream tore through the humid air. It was deep, guttural, and cut short with a wet snap. Alex crouched low, freezing his movement. Through the dense undergrowth, he saw Gorak. The massive Krogan was thrashing against a thick, translucent vine that had whipped around his neck. The more Gorak fought, the tighter the vine constricted, its thorns piercing the heavy scales, injecting a neurotoxin that turned the giant's blood to sludge. Within seconds, the thrashing stopped. Alex didn't move. He watched. He watched how the vine retracted, pulling the massive body into a bed of innocent-looking moss. He watched the moss change color, turning from green to a hungry crimson as it began to digest. "Lesson 1, Alex whispered to himself. "Don't touch the translucent vines, and don't fight the grip, cut the root." He didn't run. He adjusted his pack and looked at the ground. The briefing had been clear. Bodies are not retrieved. For 300 years, cadets had died here. The soil of Oxygen B was rich with calcium and regret. As Alex moved deeper into the jungle, the full horror of the planet revealed itself. It wasn't just a forest. It was a graveyard. Bleached bones protruded from the roots of towering trees. Rusted armor pieces were embedded in the trunks of spore throwers. On the 3rd day, the observers in the orbital station were growing restless. "The Krogans are all dead," Tarson noted, staring at the biomonitors. "The golems dissolved in the acid marshes. The Xylians were eaten by the pitcher plants, but the human, his signal is steady." "How?" "He is moving slowly, Commander," the aide observed. "Painfully slowly. He stops every few meters." "He is paralyzed by fear," Tarson scoffed. "He will starve before he reaches the halfway point." Down on the surface, Alex wasn't afraid. He was reading. He stood at the edge of a beautiful clearing filled with vibrant blue flowers that hummed with a soft, melodic vibration. It looked like the perfect place to rest. The path seemed clear, but right at the edge of the flower bed lay a skeleton. It was old, the bones brittle, half sunk into the mud. The skeleton was reaching out, its hand clawing at the dirt as if trying to drag itself away from the flowers. "Not that way," Alex muttered. He looked to the left, a dense thicket of razor grass, but beneath the grass he saw nothing. No bones, no discarded armor, no signs of struggle. "The grass is safe," he concluded. "Painful but safe." He wrapped his thermal blanket around his arms and legs like makeshift armor and pushed through the razor grass. It sliced at his clothes, but he made it through alive. The blue flowers in the clearing suddenly snapped shut, releasing a cloud of spores that melted the rock where he had been standing moments before. Alex navigated the hellscape not by looking for life, but by analyzing death. He found water by checking the skeletal remains of xylians. If a xylian corpse was found near a pool of water with its throat clutched, the water was poison. If he found a corpse that had died of trauma but had a canteen nearby, he tested the water source. He created a map in his mind, a cartography of carnage. Zone A, 3 Krogan skulls, crushed, impact vines from above, look up. Zone B, scattered small bones, swarm predators, keep moving, use the plasma knife to cauterize the scent trail. Zone C, no bodies at all. Zone C was the most terrifying. If there were no bodies, it meant either the area was safe or the plants consumed the bones entirely. Alex never took the risk. If he couldn't see the cost of failure, he didn't pay the admission price. Days passed. The humidity was suffocating. The silence was broken only by the slither of vines and the snap of traps triggering on the wildlife. Alex looked like a specter. His uniform was tattered, his face smeared with mud to mask his heat signature, his eyes sunken but burning with a sharp, analytical light. He ate his rations sparingly, supplementing them with tubers he found only after seeing local rodents eat them and survive. On the fourth day, the orbital station was in chaos. "Sensor contact at the extraction zone," the aide shouted, his antennae vibrating. Tarson rushed to the main screen. "Impossible. The last biosign vanished 2 days ago. The golem cadet fell into a sinkhole." "It's the human, Commander. It's Randall." On the screen, a grainy visual feed showed the extraction point, a rocky plateau devoid of the deadly flora. Sitting in the center of the landing pad was Alex. He wasn't gasping for air. He wasn't crawling. He was sitting cross-legged, using his plasma knife to clean dirt out from under his fingernails. He tapped his comms bead, which had been dead silence for nearly 4 days. "Transport Command, this is Lieutenant Randall." His voice crackled, sounding bored. "I'm at the LZ. I'm out of protein bars and frankly the view is getting repetitive. Requesting pickup." Tarson stared at the screen, his mandibles slack. "Get him," he whispered. "Get him now." When the medical team swarmed the dropship upon its return, they were prepared for a ravaged victim. They had regeneration tanks prepped for acid burns, antidotes for neurotoxins, and prosthetics for lost limbs. Alex walked down the ramp, stretched his back, and waved them off. "I'm fine, just hungry. A steak would be nice. Rare." Tarson pushed through the medics, towering over the human. The alien commander looked at the slight, soft creature with a mixture of horror and reverence. "Lieutenant," Tarson said, his voice clicking, "reviewing the mission logs, you traversed 50 kilometers of the most hostile terrain in the galaxy. 19 other cadets, apex predators of their worlds, perished. You possess no exoskeleton, no venom, no natural camouflage. How is this possible?" Alex unclipped the thermal blanket from his shoulder and looked up at the giant insectoid. He smiled, a tired but sharp expression. "You aliens, you rely on what you are," Alex said, tapping his chest. "Big claws, thick skin, acid spit. You think you can fight the planet. You think if you're strong enough, the environment will bend." "And you?" Tarson asked. "I'm human, we're soft. We break easy," Alex admitted. "So we don't fight the planet, we listen to it." "The planet is a mute killer," Tarson argued. "No," Alex shook his head. "It was screaming the whole time. I simply followed in the footsteps of those who died before me. The planet showed me where not to step, what not to touch and where not to sleep. The dead paved the road. I just walked it. He gestured to the recording logs Tarson was holding. That Krogan, Gorak, he showed me the vines. The Xylian showed me the bad water. I didn't survive because I'm stronger, Commander. I survived because I let them make the mistakes first. Tarson looked at the human, really looked at him for the first time. He saw not a weakling but a predator of a different kind, one that utilized the ultimate weapon, information. A morbid strategy, Tarson noted. Survival usually is, Alex replied. Now about that stake. Years later, the selection on Oxygen B was overhauled. The survival rate didn't increase much, but the curriculum changed. Alex Randall didn't return to Earth immediately. He remained as the chief survival instructor for the Galactic Emergency Forces. His classroom was not a lecture hall, but a holographic simulation of the bone-littered jungles of Oxygen B. He stood before a new class of recruits, massive beasts, cybernetic warriors, and hive-mind soldiers. They looked at the aging human with the same skepticism their predecessors had shown. Alex paced in front of them, tapping his temple. In space, Alex began, his voice echoing in the silence, it doesn't matter what species you belong to. It doesn't matter how thick your armor is or how sharp your claws are. Physics and biology don't care about your pride. He activated the hologram, showing the path of bones he had once walked. What matters, he said, looking each of them in the eye, is whether you're smart enough to survive. Class is in session. Watch where you step.